The meeting is called to order. Please, everyone take a seat. We want to begin by roll call with Mr. Clerk.
Mayor Joseph,
Here.
Councilman Galvin,
Here.
Councilman Bieneme, Councilwoman Keys, and Vice Mayor Desime. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Let's proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance with Officer Michael Chen.
Please stand. Face the flag. Place your arm across your heart. And repeat after me.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the united for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing because we have invocation with Pastor Ogali from the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Victory Parish.
Thank you, Mayor. Shall we please rise and have a moment of prayer? Heavenly Father, we thank you that we are able to meet tonight. Thank you for all that you have brought together, the mayor, his council, men and women, the city officers, the all officials, and of course the citizens of North Miami. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for preserving and keeping them. As this council gather to do the business of this great city, please guide and inspire them. Keep them safe. Help them in all that they do. Unite them as they deliberate wisely. Give them a vision for this city and help them to arrive at resolutions that will move the city forward. Father, we thank you for all that you are going to be able to do tonight through these your vessels. All this we pray in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. You all may be seated now. The next step on the agenda is order of business. Mr. Manager, I would like to entertain any addition, deletions, or amendments at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I'd like to pull tab H, which is the tab regarding Look Media. At the last meeting, it was moved by the council to table the item to this meeting. I don't have the necessary presentation from the vendor at this time, so I'm asking that we pull this item. I'm asking that we move tab K, which is the CRA plan, the redevelopment plan. I'm asking that we move this item to come immediately following the consent agenda. And that's it at this time, sir.
Thank you very much.
And tab O, Roland would like to make an amendment to tab O.
I'd like to make an amendment to the title, tab O, striking the language where it states, located at 2500 Northeast 135th Street. That address was supplied to the city by the applicant, and that address is inaccurate. However, all the folio numbers are accurate. So I would ask that this item be heard and be considered without such address. Thank you.
Do we know the correct address or do we not?
There is really per se no address. It's 6 lots. So that's, but all the folio numbers are in place and they're accurate.
Yeah, but does it have a street address?
No. It will once the development is completed.
There is no street address recorded in any archive for this.
That address does not pertain to this particular property at the moment.
And it's okay to proceed without
Yes,
such
sir.
physical address?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's it, Mr. Mayor. Those are my amendments to the agenda tonight.
Okay. Now we have a few special presentations, and we'll go down all the council members. Please come down with me for the special presentations.
one presentation?
Oh, I think the first one is by the artist. So we don't need to go down for that. We still go down?
Here comes.
Oh, okay. Well, the first presentation is by our Colombian artist Carlos Salas, who actually did the exhibit for us during the Art Basel of December 2015. And those of you who participated in that exhibit know that it was a grand presentation. So thank you very much for accepting to come to Miami, to North Miami, for our Art Basel. And with that, I'll give the mic to you and do your thing.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, members of the public, those who are watching from home, our MOCA chair, Mr. Frederick Mark, and the chairwoman of the MOCA Colombia Committee, Ms. Irene Acevedo. My name is Miguel Seco, and I am with the Museum of the Contemporary Art, and we're very happy to introduce to you tonight Mr. Carlos Salas, our Art Basel 2015 artist, who would like to say a few words to you.
Señor Alcalde Joseph y miembros del Consejo. Hace año y medio recibí de North Miami una carta de invitación para exponer en MOCA. La inmensa satisfacción que
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Did we designate anyone to translate?
Yes, sir.
I wish you would have said that. Thank you, I'm sorry.
Continúa.
Hace año y medio recibí de North Miami una carta de invitación para exponer en MOCA. La inmensa satisfacción que sentí y las expectativas que surgieron fueron superadas por las experiencias vividas que han ampliado largamente mi visión sobre el arte y su función social.
A year and a half ago, I received a letter from the city of North Miami to exhibit at MOCA. The immense satisfaction that I felt and the expectations that arose were largely exceeded by what I have experienced since then, expanding both my vision of art and its social function.
La generosidad de la ciudad de North Miami se ha visto en cada uno de los pasos dados para hacer realidad esta exposición. Tuve el placer de recibir 3 visitas del señor Emboa a mi taller, con las que se comenzaron a forjar lazos entre North Miami y Bogotá. Y en una de ellas tuvimos los bogotanos el honor de contar con la presencia del alcalde, Mr. Joseph, y de un prestigioso grupo de miembros del comité de MOCA.
The generosity of the city of North Miami has been evident in each one of the steps taken to make this exhibition a reality. I had the pleasure of receiving 3 visits from MOCA's director, through which links between North Miami and Bogotá were forged. In one of those visits, we, Bogotanos, had the honor to receive your mayor and members of the MOCA committee.
Ahora, cuando la exposición de mi obra en MOCA está por terminar, me vienen a la memoria muchos momentos de los cuales quiero mencionar 3 muy especiales.
At this time, when the exhibition is about to close, I recall 3 very special moments.
El primero, la noche de la inauguración, cuando el alcalde, Mr. Joseph, me hizo entrega de las llaves de la ciudad de North Miami, gesto que cobra especial significado en este comienzo de un siglo que no se anima a arrancar, a pesar de llevar ya 3 lustros, que invita a reflexionar sobre el papel del artista cuando sus obras se acercan al público.
The first, on opening night, when Mayor Joseph presented me with the keys to the city of North Miami, a gesture that acquires special significance in the beginning of a century and invites us to reflect on the role of the artist and his works and their relationship to the public.
El segundo, la visita en Colombia que hicimos con el señor Embow y la señora Carol Boyce Davis a la casa del doctor Patarroyo, conocido por sus avances en el desarrollo de una vacuna sintética contra la malaria. Una atracción particular sintieron Babacar y Carol cuando vieron, entre la extensa colección de arte del científico, la maqueta en bronce de un monumento que conmemora una batalla en donde se muestra a 14 lanceros liderados por el coronel Rondón, héroe de origen africano, que jugó un rol fundamental en la guerra de independencia de mi país, Colombia. Esta escena, que me permitió rememorar ante que me permito rememorar ante ustedes es un ejemplo de la serie de las coincidencias y encuentros que se han dado en el recorrido del misterioso camino de mi exposición en Moca.
The second was a visit from the director, accompanied by Ms. Carol Boyce Davis, to the house of Dr. Patarroyo, known for his progress in the development of a synthetic vaccine against malaria. Our guests were particularly attracted to a model in bronze of a monument commemorating the 14 Lanceros led by Colonel Rondon, hero of African origin who played a fundamental role in the War of Independence in my country. And this is just one example of coincidences and meetings that paved my way to Mocha.
El tercer recuerdo es cuando se cerraron las puertas de la sala de exposición el día de la inauguración y al salir me encontré con una fiesta extraordinaria que hicieron del evento algo nunca visto en mi vida.
The third memory is the moment when you closed the gallery doors on opening night, and I found myself at the center of an extraordinary celebration unique in my life.
Comparto estos recuerdos como una pequeña muestra del universo mágico que se abrió para mí en esta exposición, que sin creerme merecedora de ella me ha devuelto la fe en el arte y su rol en la sociedad.
I share these memories as a small sample of the magical universe that was opened with this exhibition, that perhaps I did not deserve, and has returned my faith in the arts and their role in society.
Como muestra de agradecimiento me permito ofrecer un pequeño presente a tan distinguidos personajes de la ciudad de North Miami.
And so, as a token of my gratitude, I present these to you. And now Mr. Salas is going to call you one by one, and he's going to present to you a series of handmade engravings that he's going to dedicate for you. Mayor Joseph. Vice Mayor De Sulme. Councilman Galvin. Councilwoman Keys. Councilman Biename. City Clerk Michael Etienne. Chairman Frederick Mark. And this is when you all get to clap and take pictures.
I didn't see them.
So let's proceed with the next presentation. The next one is a certificate of recognition presented to the African American Research Library and Cultural Center for their dedication and contribution to the North Miami Black History Month exhibit. So, as you know, the Black History Month comes the same month that we are celebrating our 90th anniversary as a city. So this is a very important month for us, an important year. So therefore, at this time, I believe we have a list of certificates to present to the people who actually contributed to the execution and to the realization of what you saw happen for the past couple of weeks in the month of February in North Miami. There was a committee, first is the certificate presented to the African American Research Library and Cultural Center. We are asking, who's coming to take it? Do we have anyone? Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your participation. Oh, that's one by one or all of them? What's the next one? You? I thought we were giving one to the committee members. Oh, next month? Oh, okay. Also, the month of February is American Heart Month, and we are all in this country. We know that heart disease is an epidemic in this country. Pretty much, it contributes to a lot of deaths. As a matter of fact, it is the #1 killer in our country, and coronary artery disease is one of the heart diseases that is very prevalent in this country, and millions of people die from it every year. And we do know the risk factors. I'm sure that a lot of you've been educating yourself about heart disease, staying away from too much salt, all those McDonald's. Well, I don't want to talk against McDonald's tonight, but stay away from high fat diet and so forth, and maintain a good active lifestyle. And this month we wanted to honor someone who had been an advocate of not just treating but preventing heart disease in our community. And we looked actually when they asked me whom I would like to honor, it took me some time. I know a lot of cardiologists, but not many of them have been involved in the community per se. But I wanted really to honor someone who had made an impact, not only in this community, but abroad. And we found Dr. Satender, right? Dr. Satender Sandhu, who's a pediatric interventional cardiologist. And what is that is someone who specializes not on just clinical cardiology, but she specializes in fixing congenital heart defects in children. So she has made many trips in Haiti, precisely in Mirbalais, and she's been involved with Zami La Santé, directed by Paul Farmer, right? By Paul Farmer in Cange. Cange is not too far from Mirbalais, for those of you who know Plateau Central. And she's been with the Jackson Health System, I don't know for how long. Maybe you will say it yourself when you come and get the recognition. Thank you very much for everything you do, Dr. Sandhu.
I'd like to thank you all for giving me this honor. It's very much appreciated. I think that a lot of people work very, very hard and are seldom recognized, so this recognition is very important. But I also want to say that we at the University of Miami and at Holtz Children's Hospital in Jackson take care of children from the day they are born till the day they are adults. And I have been very lucky for the last 9 years to be associated with an institution that has never denied entry to any patient for lack of funding. The University of Miami and Jackson do an incredible job with that, and for that I'm very, very appreciative of working there. Thank you.
I believe that's it. Okay, now we are going to ask Councilman Galvin to please come forward and present the proclamation for rare disease.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And the reason the mayor is asking me to make the presentation this evening is because the request came from a resident of District 1. So we're very happy tonight to talk about Rare Disease Day. There are nearly 7,000 diseases and conditions considered rare, and by that it means each of those diseases and conditions affects fewer than 200,000 Americans. And according to the National Institutes of Health, the National Organization for Rare Disorders is organizing a nationwide observance of Rare Disease Day on February 29th, 2016. So, today, the mayor of the city of North Miami and the city council join our 70,000 residents in declaring this Rare Disease Day in the city of North Miami, and we'll ask Jesse to come on up and accept this on behalf of the Rare Disease Organization.
Sorry. Hi, as he mentioned, my name is Jessie. This is my stepdaughter. Her name is Scarlett, and she has a rare disease. I am very grateful and humbled that the city of North Miami considered proclamating February 29th Rare Disease Day. It's an international rare disease day, so if everybody remembers, post it on social media, bring awareness. I am a 2-time cancer survivor. I'm a veteran. My older son is autistic. And I am a philanthropist at heart, and I've seen firsthand how awareness and research does make a difference in children's lives. And so just proclamating the day is one step. Every year you're probably going to hear more and more. Thanks to stem cell research, there's early detection, which makes a difference. We are very blessed. Scarlett walks, but most of the children that have her syndrome don't walk, have a trach. Unfortunately, 2 weeks ago, one of our close friends that has a similar syndrome passed away, and she was only 21 years old. So the more awareness and early detection we get, and doctors that we know that, provide research makes a difference. So thank you.
Do we have any city events announcement?
Yes, we do, sir. Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, and members of the public. My name is Cassandra Timothy, Public Information Specialist, and I have the pleasure of sharing all of the exciting events coming up in the city of North Miami. Jazz at Mocha is South Florida's longest-running free outdoor jazz concert series. Enjoy the narratives of storyteller Lisa Richards on Friday, February 26th at 8 p.m. in the Mocha Plaza. The museum is open by donation from 7 to 10 p.m. Mayor Smith Joseph will be hosting a town hall meeting on Wednesday, March 2nd at 6:30 p.m. at the Griffith Community Center. Residents are encouraged to attend the meeting and ask questions about ongoing and forthcoming capital projects in the city of North Miami. On Saturday, March 5th at 9 a.m., Vice Mayor Alex DeSome will be hosting a citizenship drive in collaboration with the Florida Immigrant Coalition at the Joe Sellicing Center. Residents seeking citizenship are encouraged to attend the meeting with all required documentation. The Get in Gear Community Bike Ride takes place on the second Saturday of every month. Come out on March 12th at 8 a.m. in the Mocha Plaza. Need help filing your tax return? The AARP Foundation provides free tax return preparations for low and moderate income taxpayers, especially those aged 60 years young and above, at the North Miami Public Library every Thursday from 11:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Assistance is available now until April 15, 2016. Save the date. Spring break is around the corner, and the city has several events lined up in the month of March, including Movies on the Lawn, Spring Summer Camp, Moonlight and Marshmallows, and our annual Spring Egg Hunt. Stay tuned. For more information, visit the City of North Miami at www.northmiamifl.gov. Follow us on Facebook and on Twitter at Nomi News. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Timothy. Before we move on to the consent agenda, I want to acknowledge the presence of our former councilman, Jean Marcellus, among us. I see no other elected official. Our CRA attorney, he's also a commissioner in Miami Shores. I guess he wants to be recognized as well. Thank you very much. Now we need a motion for the consent agenda approval.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the consent agenda. That motion was seconded by Councilman Bieneme. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Consent agenda is approved with a 5-0 vote. Tab
K.
H. K was K. Tab K.
Okay.
Proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the amendment to CRA redevelopment plan 2016, authorizing the interim city manager to take any and all action necessary to facilitate the approval of the amendment to CRA redevelopment plan 2016 by Miami-Dade County, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Thank you. Now this is a amendment that was just approved at the earlier meeting. So if there is anyone who wishes to be heard at this time for a short time, please come forward to the mic. I see no one coming, so public hearing is closed. Member of the dais, any discussion, question, comment?
Which item, Mr. Mayor?
The one we just approved, K,
Okay.
from the CRA.
No.
I'll move approval of item K.
Second?
Discussion
We did.
with the public?
Yeah, I just did. Yeah.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve tab K.
Mm.
That motion was seconded by Mayor Joseph. I'm going to commence with a roll call vote. I'm sorry. This is not an ordinance. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Item passes 4-1. Tab. Okay, so no. All right. Go back. Tab F. Proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, adopting and appropriating funds in the amount of $266,000 to be funded in the amount of $25,000 from the Law Enforcement Trust Fund, $15,000 from Federal Equitable Sharing Fund, and $226,000 from the Federal Equitable Sharing Fund Treasury, and providing for the appropriation expenditure of those items as set forth in Exhibit A, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. That was tab F.
Okay. Public hearing is open. Now, do we have copies of the agenda there? For, no?
They have it.
Okay, we're on tab what? F now. Public hearing is open on tab F. I see no one coming, so discussion comes to the dais for any comments, questions.
No, question.
Go ahead.
Can I, George, Mr., through the manager, the documents I saw during briefing, is this it? Because I'm seeing the numbers, are they the same, reflect what's in the package?
George
I don't-
Mon-
Yes,
yes,
go ahead,
George
sir.
Manresa, Police Administrator. It should be Councilman Desime. It's the one that has the expenditures on the left-hand column,
Correct.
and then the funding, sir, on the right column.
I just didn't see a lot of the NA going down. So I just wanted to make sure it's the right form in the record as the one that we mentioned.
It is, sir.
It
It
is.
is the same one.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys. Do I have a second to her motion to approve?
Second.
That motion was seconded by Vice Mayor Designate.
Mr. Mayor, through you to the,
Go ahead.
and I guess this is for either Mr. Manresa or the chief. You know, the concern amongst some has been that these monies might be used for parties or other less serious endeavors. Can you tell us a little bit about what types of training and travel this does cover? What more can you tell the public and the community about how these funds will be used?
Not for parties, not for less endeavors as well. Specifically, what we have there on that attachment are the expenditures that are broken down. We took these are categorized within and give us specific restrictions that we're allowed to use them. As you can see there, community projects and events, some of those, for example, is the Family Against Crime, or FACT Festival that we contribute towards. A lot of these are dealing with scholarship fundraising events for criminal justice students. Community bike rides, a little bit further, dealing with gang meetings, Wolfpack operations, training in the sense of training the officers, the investigators, as well as non-sworn in support personnel when it comes down to certification, as well as investigator. A lot of the funding relevant is to our MAGTAB, which is our multi-agency gang task force, as well as dealing with flash money when we come down to confidential informants, as well as when it comes down to drug investigations long-term. And the last two areas are equipment and operations. Particularly when we talk about equipment, we're talking about our tasers, our message traffic boards, radio tower fees. These are type of the specialized equipment that we utilize. And then lastly is the travel and transportation. This is the variety of different type of training that is provided to all the officers that work for the police department, including the sworn and non-sworn. And there's specific categories that are restricted that we can only use these monies for.
And when it says on this chart that you've given us that there's some money from justice, quote-unquote justice, and treasury, does that mean the U.S. Department of Justice, the U.S. Department of Treasury? Am I interpreting that correctly?
The separation is law enforcement trust fund comes basically from the state. It's meaning the officers from within our departments dealing with asset forfeitures when it comes to seizures of vehicles, cash, as well as variety, even houses and homes if they are paid for. Separate from that is also called an equitable asset sharing. That is from our Treasury. The Department of Treasury is a specific type of investigative unit, and it determines exactly what category we can use for Department of Treasury versus Department of Justice. But all that, it comes under our task force. We have 2 detectives that are assigned to the DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration, and out of those 2, Department of Justice as well as Department of Treasury, they make the determination on where the funding will go. We participate in it, we get a percentage of that. And if it's 5 agencies, each agency get a percentage of that, and that's throughout the entire year.
Okay, so that's our cut of those respective funds.
Correct. Depending who initiates it, the percentages change as well.
Gotcha. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, that's all.
Thank you.
So I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys to approve tab F. That motion was seconded by Vice Mayor Designate. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote. Tab G. Proposed resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the designation of the commercial areas along Northwest 7th Avenue between Northwest 119th Street to Northwest 135th Street as a Chinatown cultural, arts, and innovative district, further authorizing the interim city manager to do all things necessary to create a master plan to serve as a design guide to ensure the future growth of the subject area, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Do we have any presentation by staff?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This item will be presented. There's a brief presentation by our planning director, Ms. Tanya Wilson-Sejoy.
Thank you. For the record, Tanya Wilson-Sejour. I'm the Planning Director of Community Planning and Development. I'm just going to read the staff recommendation for this item before I begin the actual presentation. The item's been sponsored by Councilman Vice Mayor Desume, Vice Mayor of District 4, and the staff recommendation is that the Mayor and Council pass and adopt proposed resolution authorizing the designation of the commercial areas along Northwest 7th Avenue between Northwest 119th Street and Northwest 135th Street as a Chinatown Cultural Arts and Innovation District, and further authorizing the city manager to create a master plan to serve as a design guide in the redevelopment of the subject area. So I'm going to give you a general overview of the proposed request, and then we'll walk through some of the justifications and what we're trying to create in the area. So the proposed resolution seeks to create a designation for the area, also establish a steering committee, and eventually the goal is to create a master plan for the Cultural Arts and Innovation District. The map here basically shows the segment along Northwest 7th Avenue, both east and west portions of the corridor between 119th Street and Northwest 135th Street. The approximate area encompasses about 92.94 acres in total. So just looking at the purpose of the designation itself, we know that Northwest 7th Avenue is a major thoroughfare in the city. It runs between north and south, between Broward and Dade County as a major segment for commercial activity. Based on our analysis, we understand that the corridor itself carries about 30,500 vehicular traffic trips annually. So we know that it's a major commercial corridor within the city. Some of the challenges that we've seen through the economic studies over the years is that the corridor itself has struggled with economic growth. We've had major job loss in the area. We've had quite a few businesses. We've had turnover over the years, and certainly in terms of the physical environment, the built environment, there's been a lot of deterioration, and the stock itself has been declining. So the city has made major investments over the years. We've had several grants that have been issued from the general fund. We've had grants that have been issued through the CRA, but still yet it continues to be a struggling area from an economic standpoint. So one of the goals that is sought after through this resolution is to really create a sense of place for Northwest 7th Avenue. And I believe I can speak for the councilman that his passion for this area is not just in terms of the cultural focus of bringing in Chinese investment, but the passion for the area is really to revitalize and to bring about economic growth and to really generate jobs for the area. So one of the first priorities in looking at a designation and then eventually a master plan, of course, is strengthening existing businesses through financial and technical assistance. We found, especially through our office, that oftentimes we have grant programs and facade programs that are designed to support the exterior of the businesses, but certainly we've seen that internally there's a struggle for many of these businesses to stay open, and they really seek technical assistance and financial support. So that's one of the initiatives of the master plan. The second one is to attract new businesses and investment. I think for most folks sitting in the room or listening, the first question is Chinatown. Why Chinatown? I will say, based on the preliminary studies that we've done, conversations we've had with the county, speaking even to FIU, lo and behold, I don't know how many people know, but FIU actually is a gateway for China. We found because FIU has a campus in China, many of the students that are introduced to the American society or even the US is through that actual partnership that FIU currently has with the Chinese government. So in order to create a synergy between what we currently have as a gateway and to be able to feed into that partnership that we currently have, we're seeking through this designation to be able to attract Chinese investment. We know that China right now is an emerging market. It's one of the largest exchange arrangements that we have, one of the largest economies that we have for exports between China and the US. So right now, nowhere in Florida has the presence or an anchor of a Chinese community or even some type of business enclave that focuses on Chinese culture and investment. We've met with a Chinese delegation that visited North Miami, expressing an interest in having some kind of hub or areas in which they can promote investment and have a partnership with some local government in South Florida, so they can have a conversation between investors in China that are looking for property in South Florida, not just have them navigate the system of the American economy without having particular, whether it's like through a sister city organization, affiliate, or something that creates an area where North Miami identifies itself as a friendly environment, or an environment that encourages and incentivizes business investment from Chinese investors. And then the last two is to create new jobs. I did mention that we have an out-migration of jobs in that corridor because there's such a high turnover of business activity. When the businesses go under, then the jobs are also lost as a part of that process. So the master plan itself seeks to find a way to create new job opportunities along that corridor and create some sense of stability right now where the corridor is struggling to stay afloat. And of course, to improve quality of life is the end goal also. Okay, so looking at some of the preliminary case studies, oftentimes as planners we've found that you have enclaves like these that really mature organically. So you have an area like, for instance, in Philadelphia or Seattle where you do have the presence of Chinese residents. It is authentic. They live there, they shop there, they breathe there. But then you also have cases like Washington, D.C., where it's not as organic, and you call it more artificial because that was generated and solidified through the urban design process. We will say in terms of observation, in creating a similar template, it's a hybrid of what we see in Washington, D.C., where we don't necessarily have a large Asian population within 7th Avenue, but we do know from an urban design standpoint, you can create a sense of place. I'm showing a gateway picture that's here from Washington, D.C., just to show an example of how you can create that image through urbanscape, landscape, and other architectural features to celebrate the Chinese culture. And then along with incentive grants, you can help to attract the potential businesses that we know have interest in investing in the area. Okay, so looking at the opportunity to create the master plan, the framework really would start with a market assessment of the conditions that are there. It's very important, I will stress, and this is one of the conversations we had with Councilman Decime, there's no desire to displace the current environment. Actually, it's the opposite. There's a desire to create business retention and to support what's there and to build on that business environment that's already there, and not to deflect or to diminish the environment that's there, but to actually improve it over time. Also, the focus of the master plan is to create actual design guidelines that's focused on Chinese motif and architecture, as we're seeing in some of the images on the slides. For capital improvement projects, whether it's through FDOT or the city or some other entity, to ensure that the dollars that are spent on those things tie into the overall theme and focus of the area. And then the last one is to create an innovation district. And the innovation district, I'll say, is what creates a hybrid here, where it's not just a celebration of culture and an attraction of investment. It's also identifying the area as an area that you attract research and technology, businesses that are dedicated to that line of industry or work. Those are the types of industries that we are encouraging there. With the proximity to the 95 and to 119 and the Gratney, we do recognize that there's an opportunity there for an innovation district, and then of course arts, culture, research and technology. Okay, so a part of the planning process, no great plan can be implemented without stepping back and really having a vision and studying what it is that you're trying to implement. So one of the recommendations is that a steering committee be put together. We know that several Chinese individuals, business investors, also Chinese associations locally have reached out to the city through Councilman Decime to express an interest in partnering to really explore the idea. So we know that's very viable in terms of tapping into the knowledge, expertise, and the connections that we have in the Chinese community. Also, possible partners in the process, we've considered and started having conversations with the Beacon Council, also universities, local universities that are here. I mentioned before that FIU does have a very large population of Chinese students with the partnership they currently have with the Chinese government and the university that's there. The CRA, of course, in terms of a possible funding partner, and also with the involvement in development of the master plan. Local businesses is a must. Definitely talking to the businesses that are there to get their feedback. The local residents, of course, is a high priority, and city staff will be there to facilitate the process. So again, the focus is to first designate the area, then eventually the goal is to develop a master plan, and as a part of creating that process, to create a steering committee that will help as a think tank in order to shape the idea and bring it to fruition. That's the end of the presentation, if anyone has any questions at this time.
Okay, at this time, we'll open the floor to the public if they have any comment or questions. Public hearing is now open on the item. Anyone who wishes to be heard, please come closer to the mic so you may speak right after.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jessica Alston, 1140 Northwest 125th Street. I live in the area between 119 and 135th Street. It was very interesting to hear spoken of having integrity of culture. With this idea is very misguided and mistaken. You have been betraying the trust of people who have lived in that area in their homes for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years to accommodate some other culture to be developed. We have our own culture in that area that we need to develop, that we have of ourselves. And I'm asking you, please, council, do not betray the homeowners, the business owners, the community, we who live there, by embarking on redefining our cultural identity. Please, please don't do that.
Public hearing is still open.
Good evening. Please excuse my voice. I'm Beverly Hilton, 12495 Northwest 6th Avenue. When I first heard about this, I must say I was very skeptical. I grew up in New York. I'm familiar with Chinatown. But after watching the presentation, I could see something absolutely different from what's in New York. I am for anything that will bring jobs to the city. And developing 7th Avenue, I am all for it. And I talked to some of my neighbors about it because I heard about it. And anything that will bring jobs and develop the community, I am 100%. I am right there, close to 7th Avenue. So direct impact to me. So I really appreciate any development with a job to benefit our community. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laura Hill, 13075 Griffin Boulevard. Parts of the presentation were interesting, and I agree with some of them. The purpose of the designation, bringing up quality of life, bringing development to 7th Avenue. I think everybody's been on that page for a while. The Chinatown thing, I'm not on board with that at all. I think that it undermines a rich culture that already exists in that community. It's almost, to me, I would be terribly offended if somebody wanted to bring in a new cultural identity to an area that already has a strong one, instead of just helping develop that cultural identity. It makes no sense to me whatsoever why North Miami would put a Chinatown in our District 4. Just absolutely makes no sense. I think it's a terrible idea. I do think it's really important to approach 7th Avenue with development, businesses, lifting up homeowners, encouraging investment. But the Chinatown twist is just, it's a terrible idea. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maria Lee. I live at 12525 Northeast First Court, North Miami. I'm here to give thanks to each and every one on board for my light. Thank you all so much that I get my light at my street where it was dark, and I appreciate your kindness. And I said, may the Lord continue blessed and keep each and every one. And these are my few words in Jesus' name.
Amen.
May the all say shalom,
Shalom, shalom.
peace, perfect peace.
Okay.
This word, the blood of Jesus whispered.
Public hearing is still open for anyone who wishes to be heard on the item. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, John Porter, 340 Northeast 131st Street. I'm just going to echo what's already been said. I think it's culturally insensitive. There's a beautiful culture that already exists in this neighborhood. I agree that it needs development. We need to bring jobs to 7th Avenue, but I think that that needs to be initiatives that will help that community and that beautiful culture to thrive where they already are. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Howard Tonkin, 12600 Griffin Boulevard. I gotta say, sorry guys, I'm gonna disagree with my neighbors, but I love the Chinatown idea. I lived in New York for 12 years. I think Chinatown's wonderful. I spent so many of my weekends having dim sum there, and it's not just about Chinese, and there's nothing actually wrong with Chinese people. I think it's a great idea, and you know, 163rd Street is kind of like a Chinatown already, and Bird Road sort of has that, and I think that if it was done the right way, I think it could be really awesome, because when we talk about stuff like, oh, well, we don't want Walmart, let's stick Walmart on 7th Avenue instead, or something like that. I mean, when you say Chinatown, it's like, it makes me think, that gives the city texture, and it could be interesting, and like, it's like kind of cooking with gas. I think it's interesting. I think it could be really awesome for the city. Thank you.
Okay, public hearing is now closed. We'll come to the dais for further discussions and comments.
Indeed, Mr. Mayor, may I please have a few minutes to clarify something? Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. It's indeed an honor for me to speak on behalf of my district, on behalf of me, because I do live in between 119th and 135th Street. And I attended a meeting last week, which was very well greeted by the homeowners of that Ms. Alston attended. But anyhow, I think there's a lot of misguided that's been going on. I am very proud of my culture, of who I am, and without a doubt, I have lived here almost all of my life. I have not seen any development on 7th Avenue. Yes, this is bold, but I don't think, without a doubt, this movement, this bold innovation, this idea is not with our city. There are several cities in Dade County who wants this. There isn't a Chinatown in Florida. This, Mr. Mayor, as you always say, and I'm taking a thing from your book, this is really putting us on the map. This is not about, and let me say, there's nothing wrong with Chinese or any other folks moving in. That's not this concept. I think Tanya very well stated, this is the DC model. And if you ever been to Washington, DC, they took a poor area, and if you went back, this is in 1986, this area nobody wanted to pass by. Well, today, everyone, when you visit Washington, DC, you want to go to Chinatown. And that Chinatown, I think they only have one Chinese stores there. And Ricardo, if you could put some pictures of the concept, because I think we're missing the economic development that we are talking about here. If somebody, from anyone who came to say something, you want to come and bring something that's acceptable, that's going to make me proud, that I will do my best to make sure the community that I lived in, something different is happening on 7th Avenue. This is what they look like. You see AT&T, the Verizon Center is there. They only have one Chinese restaurant. It's not even about the concept. Everybody, the tourism just skyrocket. It's a business corridor. The corridors that we have identified is a little bit longer than the one in DC. This is about economic development. This is about changing the face of North Miami. And this is about changing the face of my district. I urge my colleagues on here, please pass this plan. We have met with delegation from China who have
shown interest, who wanted to help us, who wants to do what they can. And this is the first time that we have seen folks who are interested in 7th Avenue. And at the last commission, the Planning Commission, and I must apologize to the commission members because staff did not do a proper job as far as properly introducing this item like they did tonight. Because I do feel if they did, without a doubt, a board that is here to plan and looking at the economic impact on the folks who lived around my district. And that's for the entire city. It's not about North Miami, 7th Avenue. This is about putting North Miami on the map. I am willing to go the extra mile, and I'm asking you to please, please consider this without a doubt to pass this and to move forward. Thank you.
Ms. Councilwoman?
First question, Tanya, staff, please. How much is the master plan going to cost us to do right now?
Well, we haven't actually written the scope for the master plan. It would be premature, so it's really contingent on getting the direction from the council at this point to at least move forward.
What's an estimate of what it's going to cost us?
That type of master plan, I could say on average is like 45,000, based on my experience with previous master plans.
Mr. Manager,
like maximum 45,000.
We have that in our budget.
We do, it's currently not itemized in our budget. There are several areas the staff can look to possibly fund the master plan. In addition, with something like this taking place on Northwest 7th Avenue, we also have the option of using CRA funding.
That's
for
what
the
I was
master
going to
plan.
say. Well, no, not only that, we did have allocation from one of our previous CRA meeting. I don't know if you recall, Councilman Galvin, when we were talking about the station, they already have in the plan to do a master plan for 7th Avenue as part of that. So if this, moving forward with this would only continue, just kind of change the scope of the plan. So we do have the funding already allocated from the CRA.
I have a few comments.
Yeah.
Very big article today in the Miami Herald. I don't know if you read it. And the Chinese are coming in and they're spending millions upon millions to major condo projects going on in Brickell and Miami Beach. There are a lot of, there's no question the Chinese are coming to Miami. What I have in front of me though is a letter from some group that I have not heard of saying they, they're for it. Councilman Desume,
Yes.
you've spoken to some delegation.
Yeah.
I don't know who that delegation is. I don't have anything in writing. I have no dollars and cents. I have nothing in front of me saying that there are actual people coming here to invest. It's a great idea. I would love to see that. But based on the fact that I really have nothing, I am real tired of our city going ahead, changing the zoning of entire districts. We do that on a regular basis because of one item or one concept. We change our whole zoning of an entire street, and then they go away and they don't come. And I'm really reticent about changing a zoning district from 119th Street to 135th Street, call it Chinatown, and nothing happens. I'd like to have something more concrete in front of me. Developers saying, we're planning this. We have Verizon, we have this little Chinese restaurant, we have these people who are interested in coming. But to just change a whole zoning district,
She was
based on
excellent.
nothing?
I think she mentioned me, Councilwoman Keys. I have watched council meetings over and over again. The fact that you would say, I don't think we are asking you to change a zoning district because of promises. This is something that we are putting for you to put, if you really believe on the change on 7th Avenue. I am asking you tonight to give us a vision. Just like we did. They have Solimia, how many times have that changed? We understand that until now. So
nothing happened over the years.
Exactly. So the idea that it's the idea, this is a grand vision that at least we have for 7th Avenue. And I'm asking this board, when we had our first initial talk with this, I don't know how that changed from that initial talk in May. I thought when we had our the retreat, when I mentioned it, there was nothing in between then and now. If you know that kind of changed, because I thought you was very
I would just
supportive
like
of the
something a
idea.
little- I would like some developers or something more
Well,
concrete.
where would you get
than-
developers
than
of-
one letter saying they're in favor of it.
The letter is not supporting.
Can't we, aren't we putting the cart before the horse? Can't we go out and see if there's interest? You say there's interest, let them
There
come
are.
in, but they are. I don't
Mhm.
see anything. I'd like to see something before I vote to make, I mean, it's a big change. It's a big zoning change. So-
If I may, to answer Councilwoman Key's question, I'll let Tanya speak on the designation and the zoning.
I just wanted to quickly clarify that this is not a zoning change. There's no rezoning, there's no map change. It's a neighborhood designation. It's identifying the area for future study and to create a master plan. So we're not touching the LDRs at all. You'll notice it's just a resolution. It's not an ordinance that's going to disrupt your zoning map at all. So I just wanted to add that clarification as a part of the discussion.
Great.
Through you to staff, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Is there a cost to passing this item tonight? Is there a physical cost that we're approving if we approve this resolution this evening?
There's no physical cost at this time. Once we do pass this item, we will, as Mrs. Wilson suggested, start working on a scope to start working on a master plan at the time, to put something in place and put a template in place for us to move forward and attract investors. It will be, we're not asking you right now for the money at this time because we don't know what the money costs. Approval of this will let us go back to say we have some direction in moving forward and exploring this, and we'll move forward and come up with the scope of services for the master plan, and then come back to this body for the approval of whatever that scope of services is going to cost us.
Thank you. Councilman DeSome, I have to say
Yes,
this
sir.
idea is crazy.
Mhm.
It's wild. It's visionary. It's bold. It's diverse.
Yes.
And I applaud you for going out on the limb to do something on Northwest 7th Avenue. I work on Northwest
Yes.
7th Avenue. I grew up on Northwest 7th Avenue, literally Northwest 5th Avenue. You could go back 50 years ago when I was born and walk up and down 7th Avenue, and the only darn new thing you'll see on that stretch is a new Pollo Tropical. If that's the best that this city can do, as is, Councilman, you've got my vote because I
Thank
applaud you for being visionary and bold.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. No, please, one second, Mr. Manager. This will also forward the plan to the county, and once we have, this is very important. Once we have identifying this as Chinatown, there's no other city in Miami-Dade County, Councilwoman Keys, who could identify themselves as Chinatown. So this is very bold, this is new, and there are competitions. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I have a question. The comprehensive plan, and from what I understand, 119 to 135th, the east side is only commercial. With that new plan, are we going to have new residential on the east portion of 7th Avenue?
Well, the current and future land use designation is both commercial on either side.
East and west? If
Yeah.
I remember in the comprehensive plan, you
It's
said
both.
no.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
no
that was
new,
the-
no new
When
residential.
you- I did say that. Remember, I think he's mentioning about the buildings.
Yeah.
I think we did say there's no residential business
Correct.
only.
We increased the height.
Yeah, we increased the
For
height
the
of the
corridor.
buildings.
commercial
But
only.
currently it's still commercial allowed on both
Yes.
sides.
Okay, okay.
That hasn't
No-
changed.
Okay, that's when with that new plan is gonna be the master plan gonna remain the same, the
Correct.
comprehensive plan.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, this is, people have to understand that this is only, I mean, if we approve this and we start working on it, it will only be a master concept plan. And the execution of it is something that will, come afterward. And every single developer or team of developers who would wish to come and partake in that endeavor would still have to come before the council for any zoning changes or what have you. So I think opening and it's no secret that I am a mayor who is for development. We are a city on the move, and I'm glad to see that Vice Mayor, has taken the initiative to really go with that same vision of taking our city to to new heights. So I think this is something that will take us maybe 20 years from now. We're probably not realizing where we are taking the city by adopting a resolution like this. So I applaud you for this, Mr. Vice Mayor, and I really support you, and
Thank you, sir.
we'll go all the way.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to move the item as is.
Second.
I have a motion made by Vice Mayor Designate to approve tab G as is. That motion was seconded by Councilman Bieneme. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote. Tab I.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
For the record, tab H was pulled off the agenda. Tab I, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the interim city manager and interim city attorney to execute a second option to renew professional services agreement between the city of North Miami and A&A Drainage and VAC Services, Inc., for the provision of vacuum cleaning, jetting, and inspection of city-owned stormwater sanitary sewer structures and appurtenances in accordance with the terms, conditions, and specifications contained in the maintenance of stormwater and sanitary services facilities request for proposals number 2013-18 and issued and amended by the city of Weston, Florida, at a cost not to exceed $75,000, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
We don't have any staff presentation.
There's no presentation for this
Okay.
item, sir.
All right. Now the floor is open to the public. I see no one coming, so it's open to the dais now for any comments or further questions. My only question is why is it that we just consider renewing it instead of opening it for an RFQ or
This was a contract that we did put in place for a one-year period with options to renew for the next 4 years. We just feel at this time we're happy with the services being performed and the current cost of the services. So we think it's beneficial for staff to move forward with the same agreement at this time, sir.
Mr. Mayor. This is for 4 years?
We're only approving 1 year at this time. We're asking for 1 year.
So each year's going to come back.
If I may, the agreement allows the city to extend the agreement, same terms, same prices, even though the prices might have gone up, for 1 year, a 1 year period. And it's really on an as-needed basis. So there you go.
I should only assume that we've been happy with that company. No complaints?
Yes, sir.
I don't think we would be here requesting an option to renew if we were not.
All right.
Quick question. It's up to 75,000 as requested.
Up to 75,000.
How many trucks do you have in service right now, vacuum trucks? City vacuum truck.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Whistler Pierre Lewis, Public Works Director. We have 4 vacuum trucks in service right now.
4 in service?
4 in service.
How many total do we have?
4, we have 5 total.
Okay, 5 total,
Yes.
4 in service. That's additional on top of those 4, right? The service of the private company.
We use 4. We have 1 that's out of service, and we're seeking to use the services of this contractor to supplement our operations.
Okay. Can we have a schedule about the other 4 trucks? What they've been doing throughout the year? That's required an additional private contractor for that. We're going to approve it. I'm talking about if we can get the schedule.
Sure, we can
Okay.
give you the schedule.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk? I have a motion to approve tab I.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve tab I as is. That motion was seconded by Councilman Bieneme. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote. Tab J. Proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the interim city manager and interim city attorney to execute a first option to renew professional janitorial services agreement between the city of North Miami and Kelly Janitorial Services, Inc. for the provision of janitorial cleaning services on a month-to-month basis at a designated public buildings and facilities in accordance with the terms, conditions, and specifications contained in the invitation for bid number 42-11-12, janitorial services at a cost not to exceed $200,000 for a one-year term period, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Public hearing.
Hello, good evening. My name is Evelyn Diaz. I'm the director from Kelly Janitorial System. We have been done the service for janitorial.
What's your address?
My address?
Yes,
3550 Biscayne Boulevard, Miami, Florida. We have done the city for the past 3 years, and I believe we have done a good job in the city. And what I would like to ask is to see, because it is coming to a month-to-month service, and we have an option for renewal into a year-by-year service. So I just want to see if you can consider this petition in here tonight to see if we can do the renewal under a year basis instead of a month-to-month. That's it.
Public hearing is still open? Public hearing is now closed. Now, the one comment,
Go ahead, no, after you.
the one comment that I have on this is, it's my understanding that this contract is sunsetting next month, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, I, as the mayor, I cannot keep up with any contract that's coming up for, for expiration. We must have, thousands of contracts in this city. And I wonder why is it, I don't know if anybody else were alerted about the expiration of this contract. I wasn't. And too often you guys just come to us and ask us to automatically approve a contract for an additional year without, it's like taking us by surprise. Taking me by surprise, I should say. I can't speak for anybody else. So, the proper way, the transparent way to conduct business was for this to be presented to us 3 months ago, for us to either consider renewing it with this same company or put it out to RFQ. So, it's just not fair to me, so I'm speaking for myself now. We have no choice but to renew this contract because you pretty much tie our hands, because if we fire this company in March, we don't even have time to put it out, to give opportunity to other companies. This culture of parochialism in this city has got to stop, guys. I cannot just go and let this pass, without me telling my piece. This item should have come to us 3 months ago.
Mr. Mayor, there is a way we can stop it. And for my last conversation with you, you said you were going to put it on a month-to-month until you put a new RFP out. But now you ask me to do it a month-to-month for a year, for up to a year. That's what you're saying.
Through the mayor, the intent of this resolution here is to do a month-to-month, and I just didn't get the chance to explain that when we introduced the item, but to do it on a month-to-month basis. and then go and put an RFP out.
Until, that's when you cannot say up to a year. But you said month to month and up to a year.
Well, I
Why
don't want
don't
to
you
say a
say-
month to month for 1 year, for 1 month, not knowing if my RFP is going to be back for my 35 days, 45 days.
Until a new RFP is
Until
been
a
put
new
in out.
RFP,
That's,
yes.
and approved by the council. That's that's what should be read. And after that.
Okay.
But if we say month to month, up to a year, that's mean you can put the RFP after 9 months.
Mr. Mayor? For clarification, if I may, as a point of order, I wrote this agreement, and Article 9 allows the city to terminate this agreement with or without cause, pretty much at any time with written notice. So although we're exercising the option to renew for a term of 1 year on a month-to-month basis, the city still has the right to terminate this agreement at any time with or without cause, and that will be preserved throughout this option.
Okay. Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
I also agree with you, with your assessment, but the owner said they've been doing a good job, and I have a different take on that, because I have visited a lot of our centers,